Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Welcome to another episode of Let's Build Your Audience in HubSpot with Mr. Oaks. How are we doing today?
I'm doing all right, sir. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. It's the end of May in 2025.
It is.
Uh, and appreciate those who are sticking with us on this special, timing of the day. Uh, we like to walk the walk when it comes to learning and growing, not just over here on this side of the camera, sharing, but Oaks is a part of boot camp right now. Yeah.
Yes, I am doing just in the, as you said, desire to always be honing. I'm doing both the Discovery Call Boot Camp and the Admin Boot Camp this uh, cohort. And my observation is that, among other things, every single organization in the world has decided that Tuesday at 10 Central and Thursday at 10 Central are the ideal times for events because the hugs are at those times. A lot of webinars are at those times. A lot of like partner things are at those times. So there's been a like, I'm going to do it. I'll do these boot camps. I'll get uh, the certs on them. And then it's like, oh, declining just, thing after thing that are all in those time slots, which I did not notice that correlation before. It must be the ideal US time zone
I'm sure somewhere
opportunity.
some algorithm or some best practice guide said that's the time.
Yep.
Uh, so, no, it's good to hear. I highly recommend these boot camps for those, if only just to learn from those around you. Like, I think that's one thing. It's really hard to, I haven't seen the experience anywhere else, at least, where just it doesn't even matter how much you know. Like, the way that they've built it around like breakout rooms and
Yeah.
in the Slack channel, people sharing homework with each other in the Slack, just seeing how other people think, talk, build HubSpot stuff. It just doesn't, especially when we're all having trouble keeping up and, the customer platform is exploding. There's always a new way to look at or think about HubSpot. Um, and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun.
And I think for a lot of people too, um, there's a lot of places for admins and HubSpot practitioners of all kinds to surface questions when they have something that they can't figure out how to solve. But it's hard in those on LinkedIn or public Slack communities to commiserate or feel safe just coming out and saying like, "Oh, I had no idea that you could do this with lists, or that you could, you know, that this feature existed." And there's some things built into the program that offer opportunities for that. And so, for folks that have been handed a HubSpot admin responsibility, or that are, there are some folks on the boot camp that today that just said like, I've been using HubSpot for 30 days, uh, and I just think, oh, bless your heart, you are in for quite a journey with it's when you're learning something new and that new thing is also changing at a faster rate than you can learn it. It's like, ooh, that's going to be a lot to absorb. But people saying like, uh, no one's ever going to post on in Sprockshare on LinkedIn and say like, I didn't, I wasn't really using lists all that well, uh, and so all the people who feel like that feel like they're the only one who is under investing in lists and isn't sure where to start. And then when you get a bunch of people who are all in the learning experience together who are saying that, you think, oh, that's great. That people being able to find peers that are on that same journey is really helpful because we don't often see that. The community wants to share the amazing things, the successes, the new things, and getting the opportunity to be like, yeah, we're all working hard on trying to learn the stuff that we don't know about this huge platform.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Really safe space and a lot of sharing. And again, another element of the HubSpot ecosystem and community that uh, is hard to find in other places.
Yeah.
So definitely check those out. But today, uh, we're I think we've touched on deal tags once before. Excited to see where your thoughts are. You shared a couple of or one post this week about getting creative, and that's kind of the fun thing as you do get introduced to others who are using the system in various ways. And for all the systems thinkers out there, that's one of the fun parts about HubSpot is once you know how association labels work, when you know how tags work, when you know how lists work, you can start to think outside the box a little bit. So we're going to see some interesting use cases today.
Yes. Hopefully, some of these may not be new to everybody, but there's a lot. It's deal tags are, I think, one of the sleeper hits that are I often find completely unimplemented in portals when I
Is
get
that the
access.
thought here?
Yes, that is the thought. So that was, I was working on some stuff for the Fran Dev lab report and mentioning deal tags in passing, and I can never pass up an opportunity to share something about deal tags, which makes me, I guess, maybe the evil genius of deal tags as featured in this photo. Um, but uh, if we make it to inbound, I'll show you my deal tags tattoo.
There you go.
Um, but the uh, seriously, tell your friends like this. This says, "Don't sleep on deal tags." Um, the thing that I find so useful about them is that they are one of the few areas in HubSpot where you can actually group multiple levels of abstraction and not have it be disruptive to automations or reporting or other things that you're doing, and still pull that abstraction back into your processes. And you can roll up things that are like a just like complete pain in the neck to pull together or account for or automate in edge cases, and expose them in a really easy to kind of grok visual representation, as well as then use them in these other contexts. So let's go ahead and pull up the share. Or can I do this?
There we go.
No, there we go. So there's four the four sticky situations are ones that I want to cover here using deal tags, where I end up implementing them to solve problems the most frequently that are challenging to do in other places, or using other methods. And one is using them in reporting, which can be a little bit surprising. The second is using them to help filter and construct views for reps or anybody else who's using deal pipelines for stage-based activities, to select subsets of activities that have complex requirements. The next one is I lost track of where we were at. Is You can actually use deal tags to highlight association labels, which status on deals, which I use for a buying committee. Deal tags have almost list level configurability in their clauses. And so you can pull in information about associated records and expose it right in a view without having to drill down and look. And the fourth one is I usually refer to as red light, green light, which if you have a stage bound activities, right, things that you do during a particular stage of a sales pipeline, and you want to be able to highlight for quick glanceability, but also provide status feedback on whether those activities are done, some of which may be task-based and some may not, that you can surface them using deal tags, and then again, continue to use them in filters, reports, and your views. So those are the
So you're saying
four things I
it,
want to cover. Yeah.
so you're saying it's okay to let people know that certain things haven't been done yet prior to when they want to change the stage.
Yes. In fact, the worst time to tell somebody that something isn't done yet is when they are about to try to change the stage of the deal. Uh, and the second worst time is when the due date and time on that activity hits. You haven't done this task yet. It was due, an hour ago. Uh, Not ideal. And a lot of those things they're part of the sales process, right? This is about bringing that a simple way to bring that visibility of the sales process up into your sales pipeline, like the one that we've got here is the HubSpot template for the most part. And so, if you have four major activities that happen in critical stages, you don't want a pipeline that's 28 stages long. And you also don't want to have to know the status of a deal in these activities by opening every single one, looking at the to-dos and seeing whether they're done or not. And maybe they are done but weren't checked off, but the properties reflect the actual state. Uh, you want to try to avoid all of that complexity as much as possible.
Yep.
So let's jump in and talk about, I want to talk about using them in reporting first. The example that I'm going to use here is we've got a priority deal tag on some of these deals. And let's go look at our pipeline settings. Deal tags, I'm not going to step by step everything here because you can find it, but we're looking
If you
at
haven't,
settings, deals, pipelines. But
if you haven't been in tags yet or lately, 80 tags.
yes, yes, the limits increased, thankfully.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was 10 when it first
Yes,
came
glad
out,
old
right?
days when we had 10. Yep.
Probably if you haven't been in yet, that was when you were in, and then you just came right back out because
Yes.
you only had 10. Well, that's no longer a limit. So
Yep. Um, so we've got a priority deal tag. The Chris, described to me how in past companies or engagements, how a sales leader would define a priority deal, something that they are paying close attention to. Business rules is what I mean.
yeah. I'm sorry, asking me? I might have
Yes,
missed.
yeah, like what in your experience, what kinds of things comprise
Okay.
a priority deal?
Oh, it's a priority market or vertical, maybe. The size of the deal upfront or long-term value of that kind of customer, usually related to personas and ICPs, but a combination of demographics,
Yep,
some sort.
yep. Those are I have a very similar experience. That the couple that I have encountered that weren't on your list are the deal is uh, includes some product or service typically that is a focus, like a new product launch, right?
Yeah.
We're launching a new product and we've got some deals in the pipeline that these would be a good fit for. We've we want to highlight those folks. And then there's always the top down priority, right? Like, oh, this is my friend's company, or my nephew is the on the buying committee in this one, so like let's make sure we take good care of them, right? And
Top
so if
down. Is that what they call
yes,
those?
yeah,
Okay.
like, hey, so pay attention to this deal, right? And then you get, for one reason or another, asked to babysit a deal throughout the process or provide these regular updates, right?
Okay. I'm excited
Some
to see how we accomplish that now.
Yeah, some of these things are easy to account for and some of them are not.
Right.
Um, there is a built-in property in HubSpot called on the deal called priority, low, medium, high, right? Um, and so why would we tag a deal with a priority deal tag when we could just set the priority to high? The answer is, well, if you have industry that the company is in, the deal revenue, uh, the line items or the products that are on the deal, and a manual override because the CEO's nephew is in the buying committee or whatever. That's setting up a workflow to toggle priority and keep it straight based on all of those values is a big headache and is just going to be full of all kinds of collisions. Or you could say to the reps, hey, if the CEO's nephew is interested, set it to high. If the amount is over X, set it to high. If it's one of our 9 conditions, then remember to set the deal to high. Uh, how often is that process going to get adhered to if it's manual? 0% of the time, right?
Yeah.
So this is an example where you can take all of that complexity, and instead of having to worry about, we'll define all these rules in this crazy multi-branch workflow that enrolls a deal anytime one of these properties changes and then determines whether it should be low, medium, high, and set that value. We just put all of our clauses in the deal tag, and that gets surfaced on the deal automatically. So we can have things like the line item is the product that we are in the launch season for, or that we are promoting this quarter, or whatever. We can do things like the deal is associated to a company in our target markets. We can easily add, this is another one we didn't name, that the company the deal is associated with it is a designated target account in HubSpot. We could also use like a named account if we have, if we're trying to account for like resales or upsells or uh, enterprise, sales and deals. We can do things like the high probability of a deal, right? We want to stay focused on this one if we feel like we're getting to the end of the line and we don't want to lose it. We can automatically just say if the value is more than, whatever our baseline is. And then we can also utilize that existing priority property for manual maintenance of that top-down mandate. Hey, my nephew is on the buying committee, or this could be a good logo because, all of those kinds of
Yeah.
network and softer reasons we're trying to sell this company to get to that company or whatever.
I definitely like turning it into a priority or not field,
Right.
because the low, medium, high stuff, eventually everything becomes high. And
Right.
right. And I think as we talk through this, keeping in mind like a lot of the design importance is from like making sure this stuff doesn't become noise to the team, and everybody's looking at the meeting and everything's rad and nobody cares.
Right.
Right.
Yes. And then that's the output side of it. And the input side of it is like, hey, sales rep, you know, you're doing 12 calls a day. Make sure you run this waterfall process on every call and then manually target it to high, or toggle the property to high if we aren't using an approach like this, or again, maintaining it via workflow, right? So it's like you're either like noise at the beginning of the process where the rep's like, I literally have 2 minutes to prep for my next call. I don't have time to like uh, figure all of this stuff out and then decide whether it's high priority or not, right? Or it's noise on the back end when everything gets assumed to be high priority or is set to default high, right? And then we're like,
Yeah.
well, just demote it if it's not, right? That's not a solution. So that's the so we're rolling up that priority deal, um, those business rules into a tag. You can also use lists for that. We'll look at that later. But so we have in our, so back to our deal pipeline. So we have, you know, some priority deals here, right? So the these ones in late stage, you know, they're going to be 90%, so they're all priority deal. We have some others down here, like this one is a priority deal, and this happens to be a tag that is associated with that targeted product. So we can also eyeball, oh, it's got the product that we're focusing on, as does this one. So we can see all of those. And if we, of course, drill down, deal tags can be visible here. We can put them other places. But it gives us the logic, gives us the visual indicator. But let's talk about, I said, using it in reporting. So there's two different ways that we can do this. Deal tags get presented on the records like any other property, almost like any other property for these purposes. So if I have a just simple dashboard that's an overview of my open pipeline, right? Like here's my deals, total revenue by close date, and then this is my product. We're focusing on AI CDX, and we have there's a formula. This is a CRB formula that says the line item is on the deal or not for the deals. And I can use a deal tag. I've got a preset here, but you can, of course, just say deal tags is priority deal. And it filters my reports on the dashboard to just those deals that have the tag in question, right? So if we are managing those rules properly, and hopefully, you know, like 20% on the bell curve, 20% of your deals should be high priority, right? Not 80%. You can drill down and see all of the data filtered for those deals uh, by by just applying the deal tag, right? Like if we exclude the deal tag, here's our all pipeline, apply the deal tag using the dashboard link trick, and we're looking just at high priority deals. We can also do the
Yeah.
same thing with our filter configuration at the report level. So like we've got a unsummarized data table of all priority deals. So if we wanted to add that to an individual's dashboard that they use, or the sales manager dashboard or whatever, or the executive dashboard, here's our high priority deals. We can see what stages they're in. We just throw this tag on. And then if we need deal is open or any pipeline filter tags or anything like that, you can add them. But it makes it really easy to shortlist the deals that the people who are paying attention to these high priority deals should be looking at, right? They don't have to wade through and try to figure out themselves or rely on the manual update of these out of band properties by the sales team. So you
Yeah.
can incorporate that up into reporting, not just um, not just in your pipeline.
Right. Literally like designed for visibility, like first, right? And I think that's where, um, yeah, I'm kind of going, my mind's racing thinking about other use cases. It's in some of the other objects, but not all of them,
Right.
right?
Yes. And the I'm ex I'm I expect, who knows, I don't have an inside track on this. If you're the product manager for deal tags, ping me. I would love to send you, I don't know, a hat that says deal tags or something, because deal tags are rad. Um, but I expect to see them expand to significantly to other objects as well. Another, this is
Because we
too
use
much of, go ahead.
lists. We use a lot of other HubSpot functionality to accomplish these things. And that's why I think when you started the conversation, like when you use those things that are meant for other purposes just to create visibility,
Right.
that's when you start messing with other parts of the system accidentally.
Yes. And lists, we're going to talk about it next, play a huge role. You can, a lot of folks, similar to workflows, right? The first time you build a workflow, you're like, oh, I'll build my trigger criteria. I need contacts that have this state and that state and whatever. And then once you've done that 4 times, hopefully it occurs to you like, oh, I need to be rolling off of lists. This is a pain in the neck. Deal tags have similar thing, right? Exact same builder. So will we'll always come back to lists, but using lists for defining criteria, that's essentially what they're for, right? They're not great for visibility. So saying like, oh, we have a list of all the high priority deals with all of those clauses that describe them, and all you need to do to figure out like see the high priority list is go or deals is to go into the list and look at them, and then it's like, okay, but I can't get a visual. I can just see whenever I can sort by columns, but I can't see like, well, what stage are they at, right? It becomes like a spreadsheet project that they have to remember what
Yes.
the list is, rather than just be like, can you just put it on my dashboard, right? There's other ways to accomplish that, but the list deal tag 1-2 punch is super effective. And we don't have time to get into this, and it's a very multivariate equation. But one of the other places that I love to use that for reporting is not just like calling out high priority deals. That's one of the most complex. Everybody has that need, but everybody like represses it because it seems hard if you don't roll it up through one of these, like I said, like flexible tools for bringing those diverse requirements together. Is it actually works great for attribution as well, right? Like uh, think of all of the different ways that you might define attribution, all the things you have to account for, like um, being able to just pin something and be like, this is word of mouth, right? Like you can set a word of mouth property, but you can define things the same way and then use that for your reporting inputs. I shouldn't have brought that up. It's too complex. It's a lot more to do, but you can do the same thing. So the next one after using it in reporting um, is surfacing, using it in views, right? In the same way that like we've got a deal tag filter here, so we can also say yes, high priority deal, right? And filter. That makes a lot of sense. We also have in our example here, we have this action needed, which is going to similarly to our priority deals is going to roll up a bunch of criteria, but in this case, we've used list membership to construct them and have just defined all of our criteria for when a list, excuse me, when a deal needs to get looked at because nothing has happened for a while, right? So like the deal hasn't been, there's been no changes for 14 days. There's not a next scheduled action. The close date has fallen into the past. The last contacted date is 14 days, or aging deals, which is like a policy list for how long it's been in the current stage, that kind of thing, right? So um, having a way to say any one of these things means that it's been too long since we've taken action on this deal. And so we want to bubble that up to somebody again. It's way too hard to keep all of that in your head and to build filters or whatever. So we use a lists. We can jump over and look at a list really quick. Deals with no schedule action, right? Next activity date is unknown and the deal is not closed, or next meeting start time is unknown and the deal is not closed for this use case. So we have all of those different lists that define our please take action on this deal, right? You haven't been talking to them for a while and nothing is going on. So let's keep bubbling it up. So a saved view with the action needed filter applied saves us from having to remember and maintain all of those different conditions, and gives us functionally a punch list here with just a saved view, and we could apply the deal owner right to that view so that all of the reps can use it. And what I now have is a punch list of all of my deals that I need to do something about, because we haven't, did they fall off the top of my inbox and they're waiting for an email from me, or I'm waiting for communications back from them, or for them to complete and return a document or whatever. If I can describe all of those disparate requirements with a deal tag, throw the tag on the deal using that, you know, using the lists. And now I just have the view that I flip over to, whatever, every Monday. I'm like, okay, I've got 6 deals here that I need to follow up on, versus, what usually happens, which is, the deals just fall to the bottom of the pipeline, and they turn blue, and it's like, oh, if I scroll down, I'll find my deals that I haven't touched in 3 weeks or whatever.
Probably
But
haven't touched them because I got to scroll down.
right, yeah. So making a view that has all of those is possible. You can add all of those criteria as lists or as individual criteria to the view and save it. But if you want one place to manage it, not in all kinds of views all over the place, don't make the reps think about it. Just save a view with the deal tag applied. That's one where, particularly where you have just depending on your sales process and your practices, you're going to have so many different criteria that would make unifying that any other way than a deal tag really challenging. A great example is, HubSpot recognizes meetings that you book on a contact record. Like, let's go into example co. If I click this and schedule a meeting, then that kind of meeting is different than a client booked meeting through the meetings tool, right? And so I can't even keep that straight. I have to check every time. I would never expect a rep using it, or any user, to be able to keep that straight. Like, oh, do I need to filter based on last meeting, next meeting, next active? Like, you can't figure that out. Encode it in the deal tag, done, right?
Yep.
And that's all they have to remember.
They
All right.
did the work to get it scheduled and have the call. They don't want to do
Right.
additional work to make sure it's showing up correctly in the CRM.
Yes. All right. I'm just going to keep flying. So let's talk about red light, green light. That's number 3. And I'm going to scroll or collapse down and just look at the qualified to buy stage here. Maybe if I do this, it'll be a little bit bigger. Not really. So red light, green light is a approach, a childhood game, and an approach to that I like to use for, like I said, stage bound activities. So a a sales pipeline, like 99% of the time, should be between like 5 and 9 stages. We don't want to have a stage for every single activity that needs to happen as part of the sales process. That's overkill. And we need to find ways to support our reps and users who have activities that need to happen during a stage. And so what do? We create workflows that when the deal enters the stage, it populates all the tasks that would need to happen and assigns them to an owner of the deal or to another user on the deal if you have a collaborator or another user who you work together with. Or maybe you trigger your task creation workflows on creation of activity, right? A deal, or excuse me, a meeting with meeting type discovery gets its outcome toggle to completed. And it's like, okay, now we create the send follow-up message task or whatever your action items are. Some of those things do work as tasks. Some of them are actual activities, but having a task for send email, I don't know, dubiously valuable. But there are, we don't always need to dictate like send an email, right? But there are critical entrance and exit criteria from all of your deal stages, hopefully documented, that say, look, something can enter this stage when the following things are done. It can leave this stage when the following things are done, and these criteria are met, right? Like they can't advance in this case to presentation scheduled the next stage unless we have the following information or the following actions completed. And they're also sometimes have some kind of dependency on the client, the customer side, the prospect side. And so it might be represented either not at all in the CRM or in a deal room or something like that. So but sales managers or even reps looking at their own deals don't want to have to think about, Princetown University, click in and say like, which of these critical activities that are part of the sales process are done? Do they want to click in and go look at tasks and see which tasks are complete? No. And also, like, oftentimes we should be trying to automate or integrate as much of those kinds of activities as possible, right? So in our example pipeline here, this is a B2B or B2E, the model, B2B or B2E SaaS sale. So there are, in our qualified to buy, once we've qualified them in our model sales process here, we need to make sure that we know enough about their tech stack to be able to propose what an integration plan might look like. We have a self-assessment evaluation criteria, self-assessment that we have them do to score features and things that matter to them. And then we deliver a targeted product matrix based on our qualification that, it's like a streamlined product information that doesn't have 98 pages of bullet points and explanation. It's a, custom thing for them. We don't want all those to be manually maintained. We want to hopefully have workflows or integrations or automations toggle those things to done when they're complete, right? Or if a team member does it, do we want to notify them with a notification in HubSpot or the mobile app or email? Sure, but we also need to know on the deal which of these things are done. Where are we at with Princetown or Globe and Mail, right? Like which of these activities are done. So red light, green light, we take a deal tag for each of those critical actions. And these are the like cannot proceed things. It's not have we called them or have we emailed them. And we have an incomplete status of that action item and a complete status of that action item. And I typically make them shorter than what we see here, but there's a create product matrix tag. That's the incomplete state. And then we have a product matrix done complete state. We'll look at this configuration in a second. Capture tech stack, incomplete, capture tech stack complete, and then evaluation criteria. This is the incomplete and the complete version. So,
and how do we, I would love to see what makes those tags.
yes, let's let's look at this one, for example. One of my other favorite topics is um, evaluation criteria. So one of the ways that deal tags are different than lists is that you cannot use deal stages in the filters of a deal tag, but you can use deal stages in a list. So if you want a deal tag to only apply to a certain stage, you have to build your criteria on list membership. And so this, our eval criteria, so they are not on our has completed eval criteria list, and they are in our stage list, right? Um, uh, and let's look at our completed. It's going to be kind of the inverse of that. So they are on our, they're in our stage and they're on our eval completed list. And so let's go look at our eval completed list. Do you, as it being that this is one of my other favorite HubSpot go-to features, do you want to guess what this is built on?
Uh,
You're going to kick yourself.
yeah.
Custom objects.
Oh,
This is the deal is associated to one of our assessment custom object
okay.
records with the type that it's an assessment criteria. So let's go back over.
I was
And
just,
it's,
I needed to see it. So I made sure it
yeah,
wasn't a checkbox
yes,
property, right? Because that's what everybody asks for
right,
is a
yes. They,
checkbox that either they expect somebody to check off or you create a bunch of automations. And that's the stuff that's like, no, there's so
yeah,
many other ways to show that something is done. The last thing we should be doing is using a checkbox.
right. Yep. So we've got a assessment custom object. The record is associated here. And the nice thing about doing this is like for sales processes, uh, if it's a uh, complex decisioning criteria, you can use something like an assessment like this that allows both internal and external creation, right? And so you can send it to them and have them fill it out. You can walk them through it and fill it out as you do it yourself internally, and they don't have to worry about it. But that one is the do we have accepted evaluation criteria is just is that accepted, and because we can layer more on top of that because this is a list, right? So, and did I leave our list up? So the assessment type is our recognized type. We can, and I do this regularly, we can add additional criteria, right? So like for this list, we could say, and it's in the accepted stage of the pipeline for that. So we've done the review process for it, right? Or it has only the following information. Did they select this feature or, whatever our assessment maintains, or they have a pain point score or something, and it's only accepted if it's above a certain level. We can do anything we can do in lists, we can do right there. So, so Princetown University, their three items, the evaluation criteria, tech stack, and product matrix, are all green, right? So this deal is actually ready to move to the next stage. And so we could automate on that if we wanted to. But if we look down at constantly contacted, their product matrix is done, but their tech stack and their evaluation criteria are not, right? So at a glance, they're not ready to move forward. We just toggle each of those to green as they're done, and we can let's look at the product matrix. This is in this hypothetical process, this is um, a document created by another team, right? Not the sales rep. So we're using list membership again because again, tags cannot be filtered on pipeline stage. So we have to use one of our mecha lists to include the stage. And let's search for matrix, product matrix provided. We have a PDF document property, right? File property on the deal.
Yes.
So when the team that generates this customized matrix attaches it to the deal, that toggles green, and the rep always knows where to grab that if they need to refer to it or send it on. We can also grab that when it gets added and have a workflow email it um, to the prospect, all the prospects associated with the deal, which we'll talk about shortly, or automatically add it to the deal room, right? So that the team, the sales enablement team who's creating those documents doesn't have to be like, oh, add it to the deal, ping the salesperson, put it in the deal room, right? We just put it on that one property, and like we can drill in and sales docs right here, product matrix right there, and it surfaces it on our red light turns to green. You want to notify the salesperson or update Slack or whatever, that's fine, but reflects it in all of those places. And then again, we can automate, report, add visibility based on that. So that's red light, green light, right? Like identify those things that map back to properties. And if they don't, figure out why they don't, that are necessary for a deal to move forward, your exit criteria to proceed to the next stage, and just throw some visibility onto them so there's no question like, oh, I have 3 deals and qualified to buy. Where are they at? Oh, do we still have the product matrix? Who's working on what? Like, nope, it's all right here. Red light, green light.
Yeah. And I feel like there's value in starting to consolidate the way to um, make accountability visible, right? In terms
Yeah.
of if you did get the product matrix doc and and it's just not associated or it's not put in the file property like it was supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's almost like instead of having to notice that in another spot, it's here. And maybe over time, what I'm thinking is because there's this balance you have to play between compliance activity and compliance enforcement,
Right.
um, and not getting in the way of a deal, right?
Yes.
So being able to see it, especially when there's group accountability and you're having a sales call and everybody or a sales meeting and everybody's going through this, it's where the enablement comes in. And, even as we're on the call and people are like, oh yeah, I got that. Like, just want to see it go from red to green. They're like,
Right.
yeah, let me go over to over to the deal record and put it where it's supposed to be because it's right here
Right.
on my desktop where I saved it. Like I'm not
Right.
supposed to, right?
Yeah. And uh, the lowest hanging fruit, the thing that everybody knows is possible from all systems of all time, and as the saying goes, like every product expands until it can send email, is email notifications. Everybody knows that HubSpot can do that, right? So it's like, oh, when you need the product matrix, just send me an email, or oh, I know,
Yeah.
when it enters qualified to buy, have it notify the enablement team with an email. It's like, okay, that's not a system, but um, it's a email is a guaranteed way to bury something.
Right.
Um,
And
the
create the other mechanisms to where
Right,
it doesn't create the same kind of noise. And you find ways because some people do want that email, unfortunately, and they're just meticulous about their email inbox,
yeah, and that's fine.
right?
It's just not load bearing, right? Like we can't build any foundations on that. But
Right.
if we have like in the same way that we have an action needed view, right, of deals, we can build a product matrix needed, right? As soon as something has product matrix red, it appears on the list uh, of the sales enablement team, and we can also notify on that and all that stuff. That's fine too. Or uh, the sales rep invalidates the product matrix, right? Like, then are you going to they remove it? You can like, oh, we need a workflow that like if product matrix is known and cleared, then now notify them again, right? Or whatever. It's like, no, like
Yeah.
build the
Because the most
lists,
common
like pop
ways
it up.
we're trying to solve is like notifications and tasks.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, this is like one of those asynchronous ways that's, you know, it's just such a great, it solves
So,
for so many problems that teams have, but you have to work with the sales team in this case to make sure it means something,
right,
right? And once it does, it's like harder to like if you get buy-in anywhere in the system, this is where just people can work together. It's a it's an elegant solution to the problem that usually people are really bad at solving because they're like, I'll just send you more emails or I'll
right,
create more tasks. Um, so because even in the case where people love their inbox, you get busy, you go away for a week, and
right,
then you don't get to inbox 0, and then you miss stuff, and then they
right,
feel bad about it, right?
right.
So this is I have not dove this far into deal tags before, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, we've got one more, so buckle up.
I know,
This
I'm
is
excited for this one. I
this
gotcha
is my
too.
other one, association labels.
Yes.
So let's look at Department of Megafauna. They have a committee yes, right? And they don't have all those other yeses because our product matrix and our other red light, green light only applied to the last stage. So if we had red light, green lights for this stage, then they would appear here, right? But for example, we're not including that. So they have a committee yes. And what that is reflecting, we'll look at this in a second, but is that they've got 4 contacts and we have an association label. We have a identified champion. This is a big, $98,000, right? This is a sizable purchase. So they have a buying committee. They have the economic buyer who's approving the budget. They have a decision maker who is, probably the stakeholder who is this person's boss. And then we have a technical decision maker because this is a SaaS product. So there's a like, does it validate with our stack? Does it comply with our cybersecurity guidelines? What's the integration look like? All of that stuff, right? So you'll never, pro tip, you'll never close an enterprise sale if you don't identify the technical decision maker, right? So it is important to actually get these deals over the line to know that we have all of the necessary roles at the table to give us a thumbs up and move forward. If we don't have that committee identified, then we can keep talking, but we're not moving forward, right? Until we can identify all of those people. So why would we use deal tags for this? Well, number one, how do you know in any given deal, like in this view or in this view, where you can also see deal tags? How would you know, like, oh, do I have everybody for this deal? Reps often have that in their head, right? But in a stand up or in a review or whatever, we don't have all those things. So we need the system to represent it. There is a buying role property on contacts. So uh, why would we use that and not association labels? And the answer, there's a lot of answers, but one of them is a person's role is relative to the deal. It's not relative to the person themselves. And if you think that somebody's buying role is central to them, then you have never multi-threaded multiple deals with an enterprise where somebody, just because they are associated with the company and they have the buying role, technical decision maker on their contact, means that, oh, here we go, they're the technical decision maker. I'll add them to this other deal that we're working with another division, uh, and uh, and then we'll just make sure we get them looped in. The champion will loop them in on the process. It's like, no, that's going to be like totally different. It's not relative to the company. people's buying rules change, like especially from first purchase to renewal. So we don't want to solve that problem for 5 seconds by setting a role on the contact. We need to solve it for the situation, for the deal that we are working, and have the person tagged on the deal with their association label. Now you want to backfill that buying role, have at it. I personally have a lot of trouble making that property long-term useful.
Yeah.
Um, but so what our deal tag does, let's go in to our settings and look at here's our committee. So this is a red light, green light approach, but we are using it. We're using association labels. So back to lists again. So the deal is not a member of buying committee is complete. So what do we guess our complete list is? It's obviously buying committee complete. So here's our list.
Oh, wow.
The deal is open because we don't need to maintain and tag deals that are closed. And the deal is associated with a contact with the label technical decision maker. And then you need to add something here. So I always add a clause like email is known. So that you if they're like, oh, Sam Smith is the technical decision maker, and you put Sam Smith, but you don't have any of Sam Smith's contact information, then they are not involved in the process, right? So we'll
Yeah.
use some additional properties here to make sure, like, we know that we are and can communicate with Sam. You could get super fancy and say like they've actually opened an email, um, but the deal is associated with, so these are association labels, contact and technical decision maker, email known. And then we just have all the members of our committee, our champion, our decision maker, economic buyer, and technical decision maker. The deals appear on this list if they are again open and have that full committee identified and associated with the record. So that, where's my all deals? So like here's this store of Occasion. We have a decision maker and nobody else, right? So we somehow managed to get to presentation scheduled, right, with that scenario. So the sales manager doing a weekly review or one-on-one with the rep has a big, bright red, hey, this is not right here. Something needs to happen with this. Why do we think we have scheduled our closing presentation with the decision maker when we don't have our buying committee, when you know they are going to take that deck to the technical decision maker, and because you involved them late in the process, they're going to be chuffed and or chafed, and um, and then you're going to lose momentum, maybe outright get that deal put on ice immediately because now the process is going to start all over.
Yeah.
So we've
Or
got to
like it's,
identify that.
yeah. And what I'm seeing is like, this is just a flexible way to understand what has and hasn't happened without necessarily, like, if you got a great relationship going and there's honesty on both sides and like, yeah, we bring them in at this time because this is how our organization works. So I don't, sometimes they're not empowered to bring the other people in
Right.
until certain things have happened. So when you try to, mandate this during for your internal process, right? It can hold up. It can just get in the way of things, and that's where
Right.
sales teams that know that can sense that they are forced to work outside of the CRM, right?
Right. Yeah, like if you implemented, I don't know, a month ago or so, look at YouTube. We did a show on a workaround to require contacts with association labels, and you can do it for other objects too, um, on based on deal stage. And so if we said like, well, you can't advance to presentation scheduled without those those contacts associated, we don't have that lockout in place here, particularly for buying committees. It's a lot to maintain, and I don't recommend it. So we have allowed it to advance, but we can still surface it really easily here. We can do the same thing, build a list, build a report. We could put um, a zero out report on a board for the sales leader that says, uh, that's a list of using the committee tag, all the committee no deals in presentation scheduled and forward, right? And it says whatever. It looks like there's two.
Yeah,
And
because we want to
two,
avoid
and
the
they can move,
situations where we're just checking the box,
right?
right?
And so yeah, go ahead.
Because like it's just and it's so good.
Yeah,
It's a way to keep everybody aligned on real reality of the situation without overly forcing internal process,
right,
right? But also understand like, hey, if we went a little too far, we knew all along that we didn't have the whole committee. And even though you got a guy, and that's why it was a priority deal, and we were letting it slide because it
right,
said priority deal, now we're here and turns out the committee still matters, right?
right. Right. And
Um,
like you said, the last time you don't want to realize you needed to gather some information when you move the deal from one stage to the next. Deal tags, uh, they are, you can use them in so many different ways, right? But visibility is like, you know, 80% of the game here. And uh, if you were going to say like, oh, if you've got 7 reps and they all have 2 to 5 deals in decision maker bought in, is the manager going to like click into every one and see like, okay, yes, buying committee, or are they going to say, every week, like, hey folks, yeah, we're having trouble with buying committees. Remember, get your buying committees involved earlier. And everyone's like, okay, sure. But, you know,
yeah.
it's a lot to ask, not getting the buying committee involved. That's just part of the job. Um, but you need to associate those contacts with the deal anyway, right? Because we're going to probably use that to send out, to email them, right? And all kinds of reasons. But the exposing that visibility simply, easily, to remind the rep uh, of the process, and they'd be like, oh, right, you know, Monday morning or Sunday night, they fire up their board. And it's like, oh, certification. They were supposed to get back to me with who's going to do the technical assessment, and they haven't, right? Like, this is oftentimes all the reminder that you need in trying to build workflows and automations and everything. Is like, if they reach this stage and they don't have a technical buyer, then send this prompt or whatever, which is you know, in the like late early stage of adoption of HubSpot by a company, is the kind of requests that we get as admins. And it's nice to be able to say, I got a better solution for you than that. Let's talk about deal tags. And I don't know that I've ever pulled up like configured deal tags, pulled them up and showed them to the sales team the first time and not have the best kind of reaction that a HubSpot
Yeah.
admin could ever get, which is like, oh, this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted. I didn't even know, because, if you turn all the deal tags off and look at a pipeline, it's a lot of clicks to turn them all off. But or I think I
Well,
can.
what do you get when
Yeah,
you don't
most
see the deal
service.
tags? I'm pretty sure
There we
all of
go.
these use cases over the last month, I've had requests of like, well, can we add this property to a deal card?
Right.
Can we
Yeah.
can we add this?
And the answer is often no. Right. So here's your, like, what's going on with any one of these deals, right?
Oh man.
If I turn them off,
Once
and
I
then if I,
see it,
whoops.
once
Yeah.
I see it, I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I'm I'm
How
gonna be
about that?
disappointed with
Right.
any
Is that
non-deal
better?
tag boards
Yeah.
I see now.
Yes.
I can't.
I mean, that's how I feel, the welcome. Uh, that's why I'm a deal tag bad scientist. So we've created these deal tags. We used just some of them just use straight single property inclusion criteria. Some of them used, I'm going to stop sharing because we are wrapping this up. Um, you can use just like straight criteria. Like if your only high priority deal criteria is amount, bless you, as soon as you do this, you'll start to get like the nephews on the buying committee requests. But then you can just say amount is greater than X, right? And you can do that just with the property right in the deal tag, easy. We can do it with multiple criteria. We can do it with lists. We did it with association labels via lists. We did it with file properties, either directly or via lists, right? The particularly flowing through lists, you have basically unlimited configurability of deal tags. So
Yeah.
then on the output side, right, they again present themselves as properties. So you can use them in almost all the same way you would properties. Inclusion in reports, presentation in reports, presentation in, or using it again back into a list, right? We talked about having lists, misusing lists for visibility. The same list that you maybe automate off of, you use as a workflow enrollment, you can use as a deal tag, right? And so you can then reuse them in all those other kinds of places. And that like bow tie brings, the deal tag can bring that flexible definition with all of those different clauses that you just can't get out of any of these other HubSpot features.
Yeah, man. And when you look at all of our shows from last year and you set that up with like a self-service journey, and some of the buyer activity can help,
Yeah.
you know, turn some of those reds to green. Or
Yeah,
like,
the content, the evaluate in this, in our example, the evaluation criteria, the custom object, right? Like
yeah,
the client, or prospect submitted that uh, um, assessment, and we auto score it or auto qualify it or whatever, and flips over to green. Sure, go ahead and notify it off of it, but you know, you just at a glance, you see that it's already done for you.
yeah. Well, this was pleasantly surprising today.
Excellent.
It was, yeah. I think most any portal can take advantage of this, and it's available at Pro and above, or does Starter get some too? I
I think starter gets, I don't
gets
remember off the top of my
gets a
head.
taste,
Since,
I
yeah,
think.
since the change, I don't have any sales starter
Yeah.
hubs right now, so I don't know the
Just
answer.
check it out. And they're starting to show up almost anywhere there's a pipeline.
Yeah,
And that's really where, again, it comes back to how your process works to even know which who's on the buying committee, right? Answering questions like that ahead of time is what makes this work, so that everybody's aligned on what each tag means. And um, so don't get too excited as an admin and just
right,
start throwing tags all over the deal board, because it looks pretty. So you don't. But it is another way, like you say, to really get the attention of people that are doing a lot of other stuff. They don't want to be spending their time trying to figure out what HubSpot means, right? But once uh, you cross that bridge between like from noise to like real valuable activity, like they start holding each other accountable. And like what came to mind is, I imagine it's so easy to see these things as like a does not comply board, when in reality, like, you get good teams working together, and like let's say the committee is red until, and it gives an opportunity for the team to talk to each other about
right,
it. And then it's like, oh, I know, I used to work and he's over here
right.
and I just saw him on LinkedIn, so go grab him, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now red goes to green. And seeing teams work together like that is always, really fun to watch.
Yeah,
And that is what we mean when we say meetings and get-togethers that's the kind of productivity you want to get to in those meetings instead of fixing data,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Which is where we're at a lot of the times. And so what happens in those meetings, it's just the sales manager saying, where are we at with this deal? And then
Right.
all those tags are what we verbally go through to be like, oh, okay, so we are where we thought we were. Good. All
Right.
right, next deal.
Yeah. Or worse, like where are we at with this deal? It's like, oh, I need to email them, right? And maybe you push on that or maybe you don't, right? But
Yeah.
the use case that you use there is a great example. But like, seeing a rep who ends up with a lot of deals, late stage deals that have committee not identified, right, is highlights a coaching opportunity that the leadership doesn't have to eventually notice as a pattern, right? It's right in front of them, but also like team coaching, right? Of
Yeah.
like, hey man, uh, what's all the committee stuff like? Where are you struggling? And then you can,
Yeah.
is it a particular committee member? Or is it whatever? Is it your phrasing? Uh,
Yep.
presents makes that available where you wouldn't be able to see it before, right? Because a lot of that stuff get like a deal review often ends up being articulated either all you do is focus on the whales, or it gets expressed as I'm going to take action on this. So I describe the action that I'm taking, not the thing that's blocking me, unless it's a big blocker, right? And so being able to surface those things
Yeah.
becomes really valuable.
Oh man, this was a valuable conversation for sure. And if you're out there watching and you've had situations like, oh, I want to see this property on on the deal board, or uh, deals are moving too fast, or it's just there's either misinformation or like forecasting isn't making sense anymore. Like so many things can be just revealed through this process. So take a look, understand how detailed deal tags work. First of all, find those opportunities, and let's grow. Have a great night, everybody.
Deal tags, tell your friends.